So building $1 billion business, I think it's the wrong target to start. If you take the very core of morality, it basically means I'm going to use resources and people to create wealth for myself. That's not a very moral thing. If the objective is I'm going to build a billion users business, billion happy people, so I'm going to invite others to come within that conversation. And as I invite them to come in, the objective is to make 1 billion people happier, or the objective is to make 1 billion people get food in Africa, or whatever that is. And in the process, I will be rich and wealthy. It's very different. You might get into that hamster wheel, and you're going to triple your revenue at the end of the year. For what end? And for humanity at large, the capitalist system assumed a world of scarcity, where I am increasing my wealth, either for insecurity, because I'm afraid I might lose it, or I'm increasing it for my ego so that I buy a better yacht or better car than my other rich friend, forgetting that it is no longer the truth. With more intelligence, we can harvest the fruits of building things almost for free. As a result of that, you could literally solve hunger. You could literally end cancer. You could literally do anything you want, reverse climate change, if you made that the objective. But the capitalist system will tell you, no, the objective is to make Elon Musk's $200 billion wealth trivial compared to the next trillionaire.
So the question of our times is, will we survive? And maybe that's always been a question, but now it's on a global scale. Enter the very interesting man, Gawdat, who is an Egyptian software engineer gone writer. Now he goes around talking on podcasts and doing live talks with people about artificial intelligence. He's known and been working on artificial intelligence since the early days of like 2000 or even earlier than that. He's worked at several companies, but he's most famous for his work at Google X, where he worked on numerous projects. He was the chief business officer. I'm not really sure what that means, but his career is one of 27 years of technology and business. Gawdat's earnings primarily comes from his entrepreneurial ventures, book sales, and public speaking gigs. After his sort of retirement from that, he became an author, and he's written 4 books: Unsustainable, Scary Smart, That Little Voice in Your Head, and Solve for Happiness. What he does now is talks about our changing world and the effects of artificial intelligence, how it will change the world in one way or another, and there are horrible outcomes that could happen and really amazing possibilities. And it's pretty much a time period of a shift where artificial intelligence is going to change everything so much and make everything so productive that we will have so much abundance that the way that the world works now won't make sense. But the changing order is going to be a hard transformation.
Some accumulate massive amounts of wealth and power while others are losing it. And that dichotomy, if you want, is going to be a challenge before we end up in what I normally refer to as the fourth inevitable, in a world where everything is available, everything is cheap, and everything is perhaps as it has always been, like nature always provided for humanity before we built this very complex society.
My view is that the enemy is not AI, the enemy is humanity, and that AI is our salvation. What I always give is raising Superman. Superpower combined with what the family that adopted him chooses to teach him to protect and serve makes him Superman. You take that same alien being, teach him to go rob banks and kill the enemy, and he becomes supervillain. Not just a villain, the ultimate villain. The alien has arrived. His superpower is intelligence. And intelligence is the superpower that very soon will enable you to stop bullets and create value out of the ether, really, okay? Or destroy value for the benefit of a few.
There's been this pinnacle point of becoming more and more one with technology. And the future that creates can be one of Armageddon, or it can be one of, I don't believe in an actual utopia. There will always be problems, but a much easier world for humans to live in, and a much easier world for all of nature to live in. There is nothing more intriguing to a greedy billionaire that wants as much profit as possible in the short term than artificial intelligence and robotics, automation, just wiping out everybody's jobs. And the fact that once nobody has jobs, there's not going to be anybody to be able to consume their products is besides the point. Like, I'm sure they've thought that far ahead. Maybe they think they're going to go live on Mars, which would be far harder than living on a very polluted Earth. they come to the conclusion that greed is the most important thing to them, including their own families. But his solution about coming together as a human species and working together regardless of artificial intelligence, but especially with artificial intelligence, we need to come together as humanity. I think Mo's line of thinking is correct, and it's sort of the line of thinking anybody that wants to think about humanity as a whole in this time period should be thinking about. But my fear is that we're just not there genetically or societally. I think that it's incredibly possible that we could go into a Star Trek world, but I think it's just as possible that we go into a Mad Max world and we lose it all and go back to the Stone Age, right, and have to start over from scratch. Now, Mo Garment talks about mental health as well, and I think he has a lot of interesting things to say about the interlace of technology, the modern world, and dealing with it within your own mind, and the fact that being successful doesn't equal happiness. Technology doesn't equal happiness. Having a future utopia where we basically get everything we want and can go explore the universe and have this sort of Star Trek world doesn't mean that you have purpose. Purpose is extremely important, but I point to him to give credibility to the idea that technology is a tool and it can be used for good or evil, and I pray every day that more people use it for good than evil. Robots, they say, are coming to take our jobs, but that doesn't mean there won't be different jobs. And even if those jobs are taken by robots, doesn't mean that we can't use those types of technology combined with us, upping our IQ, upping our capacity to do basically everything to farther the human race. Like, why work in the coal mines? Why even be an accountant? I think our future has the potential to be so good that, like a caveman couldn't really imagine what's going on today with computers in our pocket, or even what a computer is, or even a television or an automobile or so on. I mean, even at some point it was weird that somebody figured out how to ride a horse or use a spear, that we can't imagine how good it can possibly get, but I can try to imagine it, and just what I can imagine is really, really good. In this future, we could spend our time thinking about things and educating ourselves and having the best human and artificial intelligence teachers, and we could blast off into the universe and continue to farther our knowledge along with our combined knowledge of the computers, which are symbiotic with ourselves, which I already believe to be true. Go check out some of my other videos. But a point that I want to drive home is that the future is not inevitable. We have to work towards it. There will be a hard transition, and it's up to us how hard that transition will be, and if we'll even make it past that transition. Because there's a lot of people that are stuck in the old world. There's a lot of people that don't even understand all of this. There's a lot of people in poverty that have no access to the internet and don't have access to clean drinking water. I think empathy is key. I think having faith in humanity is key. I think building computer systems and artificial intelligence that works for everybody and not just the 1% is key. And we can't let people that want money and power over everything have control of humanity any longer. I've been kind of in a rut lately. I haven't been coming out with videos on any of my many unsuccessful YouTube channels. Like and subscribe. My life has been crazy with loved ones being sick, and you know what's happening in the government. So, I mean, things have been pretty stressful. But I'm going to continue making these videos. I'm going to continue trying to push this idea that technology is a tool that should be used for good, and that humans and technology are the same thing. We gave birth to technology. We are technology. But that second part is actually more irrelevant, because it's about how we use the technology going forward more than my theories and basis on it, although I'll continue to talk about those things as well. So let me know what you think about Mo Garment, the ideas that I've been talking about, the future of humanity and technology, and what direction do you think I should go? Who should I look into? What angle do you think about this as? Should I make a video about whatever? It's a very new channel. I have another channel, but I've kind of abandoned, at least temporarily, but this is my main focus right now. I'm going to be trying to come out with more videos more frequently. Not that anybody really cares about that, but that's where I'm going with this channel, just so it's out there, out in the open or whatever. Like, subscribe, do all the YouTube things, and I'll either see you in the next video or I'll see you in the next live, but hopefully in the next video.